That's just luck. Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I'm here from the United States, from the East Coast, early in the morning. And as Jude said, if there's one person that I can reach right now in the next few minutes, it's well worth my time because it's the leaders. I like to think of the change leaders in our world that will make all the difference in politics, in government, in nonprofits, in business. And so you wouldn't be here if you weren't a leader, and even more importantly, a future leader. So I want to welcome everyone. It's my honor to be with you. And I agree with everything Jude just said, except when he was talking about me, maybe. And so I want to build over just a few minutes on what he said. We have developed, and I've written books about this, and you can get some of them online fairly inexpensively. We have written and developed a model over 35 years, as Jude said, called the Underdog or the Insurgent Advantage model, because we believe the only way to lead today is to lead change. We began working in business with Steve Jobs, who you all know was the famous co-founder of Apple Computer in the US, way back in the 1980s. And Jobs hired my partner and me because he knew we were winning political campaigns. And he said, I love, just as Jude was saying, I love the deadline you all create. I love the sharp elbows that you have in terms of strategy. And I love that you have it very, very simple. There's an election day. There's one election day, one moment in time. And that's all that matters. You can't move it. You can't fake it. You can't create an excuse around it. You either win or you lose. And as Jude was saying, I find that we all need a deadline. Creativity needs a deadline. We all are better off with a deadline. I used to be an athlete. You got to get ready for the game. The game is on a certain day at a certain moment in time. That's what makes the Olympics so dramatic. We've worked with a lot of Olympians. Nike is a client of ours. We have worked with a lot of Olympians, and they're just like billionaires and self-made millionaires. They have a sense of that deadline, of what has to happen at that certain moment in time. That's what makes the Olympics so dramatic. Every 4 years, let's hope that happens this year in Tokyo with the pandemic, the 8 people get down into the starting blocks for the 100 meters, and they have less than 10 seconds to create their dream, to win an Olympic medal. You've got to really plan backwards from that deadline. So Jobs hired us because he said, I'm tired of the excuses in the business world. You all don't have any excuses. And he listened to our presentation. He had asked us to come and talk about how to win a political campaign. Because he thought that political strategists like me, that's how I began, even though we work with some of the most famous CEOs in the world now, political strategists really do have this deadline, this sense of, we've got to win this election. And in the end, Jobs said, I think you're winning these campaigns. We had won 12 of them by then. I think you're winning these campaigns because you are developing insurgent strategies, and you're choosing insurgent candidates. And I, Steve Jobs, want to be an insurgent, a change leader. Steve Jobs taught us the power of this insurgent underdog model. I hope I can share a little bit with you in a few minutes. We believe it's about driving change. It is about, I can't see how you lead today in your life, in your career, in your business without driving towards some kind of change, because we all need to make the status quo better. The reason we won our 20th campaign, our 20th global campaign that we've advised in 2020 with Joe Biden, was we ran a change campaign. It was about change from the incumbent, Donald Trump. And all of a sudden, Joe Biden, almost 80 years old, became the insurgent, the change leader. And that's how we won it. I will share with you a secret. We have not won any campaign without being a change leader, without standing for some kind of change, because elections are always about change. And today, I want to recognize the context of COVID-19. I know that many of you out there are hurting. You know people who are hurting, who have health challenges, financial, personal, spiritual, mental. The one piece of advice I can give you is you can't control some of what's outside. I hope the vaccine can soon go everywhere. We can't control. What you can control right now is the inside. You can control your ability to sit down and create these goals, as Jude is saying. You can control your state by staying in a good physical state. Go take a quick walk with your mask. Do your exercises. You can control your psychological state. You can control the story you tell yourself. If it's a negative story constantly, that is not helpful. You'll need to have a rewrite of that story to a more positive story. It's just a story. And the winners and the billionaires and the millionaires that I know and work with have a very optimistic story. They control their own story. They control their own state. And they choose their own goals and they build their own strategies. If you think of it, that's something that's very powerful. Now, let me say one thing. The one gift, I can give you some tools in a few minutes now. The one gift I can't give you is hunger. That's got to come from within. You've got to find your own hunger. All the research this is, I write books about this. It shows two things that are relevant. Number one, people that become self-made millionaires and billionaires who have the misfortune of losing it all usually get it back in a couple months or a year or two. Why is that? Think about it. Why is that? It's because they control the internal hunger. They have a lot of it. Have you heard of Michael Jordan? If you raise your hand like this is how we work on Facebook Live and Zoom. Michael Jordan, and there's a great documentary about him now online. He just had more hunger. He had, talk about goal setting. He was constantly goal setting. He was practicing harder, even though he had more talent in the end. So I want to gift you spiritually that gift of hunger. Hunger gets you through being afraid. As our last person was chatting about, I can't give you more courage, but I'll tell you what, if you have hunger, you're going to find courage. We all are scared. If you're not doing something, if you're not feeling a little uncomfortable now, in the context of all of this crisis around us with COVID-19, well, you're not being bold enough. Reach down and find more hunger and try some new things. Get a little bit more uncomfortable, because you have to be a little uncomfortable to grow. You have to stretch on some goals. So that's the first point. The second point is, all the research shows, as Jude said, all the research shows that if you write down your goals, and I'm going to give you a very quick way to do it. If you write down your goals, you have a much greater chance, maybe 2 or 3 times the chance of achieving those goals. Writing them down activates your hunger. If that makes sense, please go like this with your hands so I can see you. It empowers your energy. It empowers you. So this is a very critical session. Michael Jordan also said, champions are made when no one is looking. I'm going to repeat that. Champions are made when no one is looking. What does that mean? It means when no one is looking, you do your planning. You write your goals. You imagine what that future looks like. Most of us overestimate what we can get done in one day, and we underestimate what we can get done in 1 year. We overestimate what we can get done in one day. We underestimate what we can get done in 1 year. In a year, you can change your life. In a year, you can write a book. In a year, you can build a business. You know, having written 4 books, they don't happen in a day or a week. You have to create a routine. You have to create a habit, a discipline, slowly. And by the time you get done, you can't believe you've written this bloody book. Does that make sense? Have any of you done something pretty amazing and you look back and it actually was, you actually spent a year or more on that goal, on that big goal. So this process of stopping and writing down your goals, which is our subject today, is absolutely critical. Let me make 3 points about how to do this. And all of them are reinforced by what Jude said and the frameworks he's sharing with you. Number 1, you need a vision. You need to sit back with your tea or your coffee or your cappuccino or your hot water, cheers. And you need to imagine what success looks like. If you can't imagine it, it won't happen. This is where you can be very bold. Imagination is more important than knowledge, said Albert Einstein. I would begin with imagination and vision. And we call this destination planning. So for some of the greatest companies that you've heard of in the world, for some of the greatest political leaders, for Olympic athletes, for nonprofits, for U.S. Special Forces, we have gone through this exercise where we teach them how to imagine their destination. And I'm going to get to goals in a moment, more specific, but let me start bigger. So what a destination means is, what does success for you look like 3 years from today, 3 to 5 years from today? And as you do this exercise, you want to be bold enough not to miss opportunities, but you also want to be realistic enough, as Jude said, not to be, crazy, totally crazy. A little crazy is good. Ask Steve Jobs. A little crazy is good, but you want to have some realistic sense of this, but also have boldness. Don't be afraid when you do this. This is a way of pulling yourself out of that fear and that discomfort. Fear about, am I enough? Fear about, will I be loved? I bet you're all on this call because you want to be more significant. I bet that's one of the drivers here. Well, put that down. Imagine what that significance looks like. You can't really lead if you're not significant, if people are not listening to you. So, we need to make everyone on this call more famous. And that's a matter of building your brand based on a goal, your personal brand, your leadership brand based on your goals. So sit down and imagine your destination. And here's the quick framework we use for companies. I will adapt it to you. There's a few questions you want to ask. You want to write this down and refine it and put it up on the wall. Number 1, 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, this is a future sense. The statement is about a couple of years from now. What is your category? How do you describe what you do? For me, I'm not a consultant because there's millions of those, billions of those. I'm not just a CEO because there's a lot of those. I'm an insurgent strategist because there's only 1 or 2 of those in the world. My partner who I write books with, Scott Miller, and myself. So if you choose a category that's a little bit different, you may build your brand easier in that category. Does that make sense? Think about that. You don't want to be where everyone else is. You want to be where you are. Exactly. You want to create differentiation. So what's your category 3 or 4 or 5 years from today? Number two, what's your value proposition as a company or as a person? How are you different, special, and better? And I'm going to say that again, because that might be one of the most important things I'm going to say in these few minutes. There is no value in being like everyone else.
Wow,
you have to be different.
This is unbelievable.
I mean, Jude has built a great leadership brand and offering by being different. You have to find scarcity. Look at any famous entertainer, they're different than the competition. Look at any great company, it's different than the competition. Differentiation creates value. I'm going to say that again. Differentiation creates value. So that means your value proposition is how are you different, special, or better than other people? What's your point of difference in the market? For us, we've advised 20 winning global presidential campaigns, 5 Nobel Peace Prize winners, added over $1 billion in market value. That's difference right there. I've got people's attention. So as you build your brand, think about how you're different. And then 3 or 4 years from today, and you're growing toward this destination, 3 or 4 years from today, who's your target audience? Who do you need to reach? And by the way, I would be both general and specific. The kinds of people you want to reach, and list 25 names or 50 names. 3 or 4 years from today, I will be successful if these people know my leadership brand, if these people understand who I am, how I'm different, special, better. That target audience is very important. And then imagine how you want that target audience to think, feel, and act toward you. Because you are a brand, you're a leadership brand. All the rules of leadership, all the rules of marketing apply to leadership. All the rules of marketing and branding apply to leadership. You are a brand. So any brand in our lives, we have to think about it, we have to feel it, and we have to act on it. If anybody has a brand they love, like Apple Computer, you think about it, you feel it in your bones, and you act by buying one and using one. So if you run in Nike shoes, you think about it, you feel like an athlete in that shoe, and you act. You go take a run. You have that. So you're imagining what that destination looks like 3, 4, 5 years from today in terms of how they think, feel, and act. And the final one for destination, Jude mentioned. How do you measure success? 3, 4, 5 years from today, what will success mean? In numbers, you have to measure it. There's a saying in strategy, we focus on what we measure. We focus on what we measure. If you are trying to lose weight, you have to have a scale. If you're trying to run faster, you have to have a stopwatch. If you're trying to become more successful financially, you need to have a dollar amount in your mind that is going to keep driving you, that is on your bathroom mirror when you get up in the morning and wash your face. So that's the vision part. That is very important, the vision part. And I might add one thing. Don't be afraid when you go through this exercise to stop and add one more bonus round. I'm going to give you bonus rounds here, which is your conviction statement. Your very short statement on what you believe. Because we're all going to need to draw on conviction in the second part of this. What you believe. And if you're driving a business, you better believe you're going to help people take away some of the pain in their lives. If you're running a nonprofit, you better believe, you better have a conviction that you're going to change their lives. I got up early in the morning to chat with you all because I believe I'm going to reach at least one of you and give you a little help over the next couple of years. And I'm going to hear from you about how the goal setting that Jude set up actually really helped you achieve your goal. And so you've got to, write that conviction statement, and you'll find that conviction statement is what attracts people to you. We also advised the Obama campaign, and Obama believed, as he was getting elected president, that America is not a divided nation, red versus blue. At its best, it's purple. It's the United States of America. That was his conviction. It drove him, and it brought people around him. So don't be afraid. We usually do this kind of training in 3 or 4 straight days, 80 hours. So I'm going to compress this. But the truth is that, people come to you by what you believe, by your belief system. And that's going to be very important in a moment. Now, let me conclude by the third and most important aspect of how I do this. And this, again, it parallels what Jude told us. I do the destination statement, and you should be doing this every couple of years. We have done this for Microsoft. We have done this for Bill Gates. We've done this for very famous people. We've learned this destination statement from people much smarter than us. And I've done it with athletes. It's as powerful for a company as it is for you personally and as a leader. But you can't just have the destination. Now we have to get to the goal setting. So let me tell you how I do it. I do it in 3 columns. And I'll do it this way so you can see it. The first column is what Jude talked about, your goals, or I call them objectives. This process is called, for me, OCM. Write that down, OCM. OCM. That'll make sense in a moment. Your objectives are here. Your objectives are, what do I need to get done? You've got your destination statement. Now break it out. What do I have to get done in the next quarter, in the next 3 months, and in the next year, and in the second year? So you break those goals out. Here are the goals. Maybe there's just 5 big goals. Maybe they relate to your finances, your career, your health, your relationships. Excuse me, your spirituality. You can break it out into those areas if you want. That's actually a good organizational tool. Your finances, your career or your business, your health, your relationships, your spirituality, because you need a balance to be a great leader today. But what are those goals? What are those goals? And if you have questions, we'll talk about it. Now, this column in the middle is the most important. Why? Why must you achieve those goals? I'm going to repeat that sentence. Why must you achieve those goals? Why is it not I should do it? Why is it I must do it? Because if you must do it, if you burn the boats, you have to win the war. You must do it. That's what separates people that get scared and give up versus the great leaders, the millionaires, multi-billionaires, people that change the world. They must do it. Their conviction, remember that word, they believe they must do it. They've written down that conviction, the way they see the world. They must do it. The reason this is important is you're going to get disappointed. You're going to fail. You may adjust some of these goals down the line, but when things get tough, and they get tough in every business, I've built 5 or 6 successful companies. When they get tough, you got to go back to why am I doing it? Does that make sense? Think about that for a moment. You got to draw on the why. Why is Michael Jordan getting up earlier and practicing all those jump shots? Because he wants to be not just the greatest basketball player in history, but the greatest person in any category in history. He's that high above, in his time, anyone that ever played the game. It's a conviction. It's a why. So why must I do it? Why must I lose weight? Why must I have a successful relationship? Why must I build a nonprofit? Why must I feed more people? That's the key. What's it going to do for me? Why must it happen? What is the consequence of not doing it? That's another way of writing the why. This is why we must succeed. That's the fuel for getting this stuff done. And the final point in the final column is over here. Over here are what I call massive actions. O are the objectives. C is the conviction, the why must I do it. Here are the massive actions. And the one thing I would leave you with is nothing happens without action. You cannot leave the site of this phone call and Facebook, Zoom, LinkedIn meeting without taking actions. Schedule a meeting, book an appointment, write down who you're going to call tomorrow. Write down the 3 things you will do no matter what hurricane comes at you. You're going to do these 3 things tomorrow. Massive actions are what makes this real. That's what change, that's what drives change. It's the little actions that get us out of our tendency to put things off. It's the little actions. And what you want to do is brainstorm all the actions that go against these objectives. Why you must do it, all the actions. Start writing them down. Doesn't matter if they're good, smart, or small or big. Write them down. Massive actions, massive actions. The more, the better. And finally, what I do is I go back through that massive action list, and I do 2 things. I write the absolutely critical ones. That should be about 20%. The ones that absolutely are critical, no negotiation, no procrastination, no delay. And this is key. I also circle a couple easy ones. I don't know if you all have a saying over there, low-hanging fruit, the fruit that hangs lower than the other fruit. Well, my saying is fruit on the ground. Get some easy things done. This is one of our principles called do the doable. We've learned this from campaigns and business. Get easy things done. We're working, the Biden administration is doing that now in its 8th day by getting a lot of actions done, executive orders, things that they can actually get done to build momentum. What we're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, here is build momentum. Momentum makes strategy brilliant. Momentum is everything in military warfare, in business, in life, in nonprofits. It's all about building momentum. Strategy will be brilliant when you have momentum behind it. So don't just, you've got to do your top 20%, your absolute highest priority. Get some easy ones done. Get a couple easy ones done next week. And over the next month, get some really easy ones. Give yourself a break. What happens is once you get them done, you've tricked your psychology into not being afraid and not delaying and moving forward. If this makes sense, let me see your hands just for a second, so yes, I know you're there.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
So let me just summarize and stop if you have any questions. Number 1, you need to activate your imagination, because you never know what you will imagine. You never know. So create that vision. I've given you the destination statement. What category are you in? How are you different, special, better? What's your value proposition? What is your target audience? What's your dream audience? What's your dream customer? Write down your 10 dream customers right now as I'm talking. Write down the 5 people that actually could take you to success. Write down some models right now, because success leaves clues. And instead of inventing the wheel, why don't you model success? Find someone that's successful. That's what I've done. I'm one of the greatest, I say this with some humility, I'm one of the best magicians in the world. It's a hobby going out of control. How did I do that? I did it as a kid. I gave it up for 35 years. And then I started studying with the best magician in the world and the best teacher. Model success. Find the models that you're going to go talk to and learn from and apprentice with. And how do you want them to think, feel, and act 3 to 5 years from today? This is destination. And finally, how will you measure success? We focus on what we measure. Number 2, what's your conviction? What is the why? What do you believe at the core? Because you're going to have to draw on that. And finally, what are the objectives? Why must you do it? What's the conviction you're going to draw on? Why? Why is this absolutely life or death? And the massive actions, massive actions. If we were working together in a seminar, we'd stop and you'd be writing like crazy for the next 25 minutes and we'd present it to each other, but do it in your own circumstance, in your own way. Those massive actions, what are the critical ones that absolutely must happen, that'll make the most difference, that are the most strategic, not the stupid stuff like getting your bank statement to work, the big stuff that will really matter. And finally, make it easy. What are some doable things? How can you trick yourself into building momentum and to become a great leader? I would only close by saying, I hope you create masterpieces in your life. I hope you find the underdog and the insurgent. And finally, make it easy. What are some doable things? How can you trick me?
All right. So, David, thank you so much. That was a powerful one. Please, can we give a round of applause to David? That was great. That was great. That was great. That was great. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, one thing about you men that have about decade of leadership experience, when you speak, you're not only speaking based on theoretical aspect, but you're speaking based on experience of what you have seen, what you have done, and what you have had. That's why it's always good to listening to a great man like you that have been in this field for so many years. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. And you keep doing the great work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Just because Mr. David Morey, I'm new to him, so I would like to just introduce myself that I'm a student of Mr. Jude, and I've learned the leadership skills from Mr. Jude. And it's been a long time. We are together offline, online, and I've learned so many leadership skills. Plus, on top of that, I am the student of Mr. Travis Van Dusen. I'm the first Pakistani to get certified from Mr. Travis Van Dusen, Travis V Consulting Group. Plus, under his supervision, I've also certified by the John Maxwell team to be the masterminder, communicator, connector, and so on. And it's an honor to have you, sir, because I just acknowledge that you're so humble. The way you were speaking, it was a true leader earlier, but in the end, when you did like this, that shows that you're a humble person, you're a humble soul, and that build more respect in my heart, in everybody's heart here for you. So thank you so very much for that. Cheers. Jazakallah.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you. Thank you. So any other contribution or question or any other word of encouragement for our guest before we shut down this meeting? It's about 1 hour, 25 minutes gone. So anybody has question, anybody has contribution, anybody has any word of encouragement?
If nobody wants to jump in, can I have a go? Or I would request anybody wants to jump in because I took my turn already. So please go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Cassie.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Mr. David. That was amazing. That was amazing. Hopefully in 2023, we'll bring you to Nigeria.
Jude, I'm losing our friend there.
Yeah, the network is very bad. I was even getting the hot back from my hand too. Hello, Bama, your network is not strong.
Amazing.
If he calls, he may have to call back in.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Bama, your network is very bad.
Most times we are due to. Can you hear me?
Please, your network is so bad. It's so bad. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, we can hear you now very well. We can hear you.
It happens here also in my country. Sometimes the network is bad, I think, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
anybody wants to jump in, like Mr. Jude has said. Anybody wants to jump in? Because I've also studied what I've learned on the platform of Mr. Travis Vindusen under the John Maxwell team supervision, that we should use positive words, and words create future. So we should train ourselves what to think. And again, like Mr. David said, like Mr. Jude said, like we should be bold, and that is also included in my notes by Mr. Travis Vindusen. So you all are like-minded for me. So words create future. We should be bold. We should train ourselves what to think, and we should forgive ourselves regarding our past. Again, it comes in the bold category. And number three, we should love ourselves. By loving ourselves, I would like to include gratitude in that, loving ourselves plus loving other people, because we all are one. As the John Maxwell, Mr. John C. Maxwell says all the time, that we are one, and we should only expect from God. We should do for the creatures, and we should expect from the God. We should not expect from the creatures. So again, number five, serve others. It's also included in that. Number six, which you also explained to us, Mr. David Morey, and Mr. Jude also explained to us right now, that we should believe in the change process, and that also comes under the category of boldness. So changement is very important. Reevaluation for ourselves, positive mindset, and accept uniqueness, that all you also taught us. And we should believe in our uniqueness. Everybody is unique. Nobody is stupid in this world. What we have learned on this platform right now as well, that everybody has some uniqueness. We should just find it out, discover it, and accept it, and believe in our uniqueness. Number 10, have fun. We should have fun. We should have a happy time, so that we can get back again fresh, new. And that's my take on that. Thank you so very much. It's an honor to be here, and I've learned a lot, and I would like to learn more in the future. Thank you so very much. Mr. Jude, I'm waiting for you. We are waiting for you, sir.
Hey, can you hear me?
Mr. Jude, your mic is off.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Brahma, you're saying something before, so please go ahead because of time. We have to end this meeting any moment from now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. David. That was a very, very wonderful presentation. I learned a lot from it, because most of the time we try to...
Oh my. Oh my. Brahma, your network is very bad.
Welcome to our new reality here, folks.
It's a new norm, Mr. Jude and Mr. David and everybody here. So welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So I think he's having a really bad network. So
yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any other input, so we can allow David to go back to bed? It's only up early in the morning. Yeah.
So anybody has? Mr. Jude is asking, Madam Servet, Mr. Evans, Mr. Joseph, please jump in, because we have expensive time here. Mr. Jude is here, especially Mr. David Morey is here. So Javeri Abdul Rahman, madam, please go ahead. On everybody's behalf, I would like to say one quotation to end the show of my mentor, one of my best mentors, number one mentors, Mr. Rehan Allahwala. He says that when your definite desire hugs your mindset, then the big bang happens. And my father used to say that books don't make us rich. By rich, he meant successful. Books don't make us rich or successful, but they open the infinite, exact, new, fresh doors for us